Welcome back. So now that we have a digital signing key, let's continue. We also want to be able to actually validate who's going to issue this token. And in our case, the issuer is going to be ourselves, but we still want to be able to validate that the issuer is actually ourselves. So we have a validate issuer, and here we can now explain what is the valid issuer, who is actually valid to issue these tokens. And we could actually just right here just put in our own local host right here, but again we want to use the configuration file, so let's just move it into configuration. So I'll write configuration, I'll use the square brackets, I'll put in JWT, and then let's just call it issuer. This is the person again who issues the token, and again yes, it is just going to be ourselves, but let's go in here and just make a new issuer in here as well, and we'll do colon, and there we go. Now we'll put in the localhost 5001 for now, and then on production we're going to put in the actual URL for the production server. Let's go back to the startup file. So now we've kind of decided who can issue tokens. That's only going to be the localhost, right? Who they can issue tokens for our localhost. And then we're also going to make a validate audience, which is going to decide who is actually allowed to use the token. And again, in our case, we're going to make it just the localhost for now, and then later we can actually add the audience as our system in the cloud, which is going to be on Firebase in our setup right here. But let's just put in right here, first of all, it could be 4200 here for the localhost. And I don't think it's HTTPS, it's only HTTP in their system right now. So we'll just, again, move it into the configuration file instead of having it right here. So just put that in there. I'll say audience. And now we've just extended so that we know now that we actually want to be able to use localhost 4200 as the audience. And we want to use localhost 5001 as the issuer, meaning that we've kind of specified and protected ourselves about who can use the token and who can provide the token in our system. So that was just another set of security right there, put into our new JWT config right here. So we now have even more security for our token. The final thing I want to make sure that we validate is going to be the lifetime of the token. So I'll just set true right here, and later we'll define how many minutes, hours, days a token should last before it's automatically destroyed. And we also want to validate that lifetime every time we get a token. So that's kind of what we're setting up right here. What do you want to validate as soon as the token arrives? What kind of things do you want to validate? And these are the things we want to validate. So I think now for this part of the token, we're actually done. Let's do one more thing. We'll go down into the area down here, actually, the configure area. And there we'll actually go and say we want to start using authentication. So I'll just add that as the final thing, use authentication, to explain that I actually want to use this setup I just built in my actual code right here. So there we go. Now we have use authentication in there as well. So that's kind of the setup we needed to do for the startup file. Now we just need to kind of try and test it in the next lessons. But before we do, I want to also kind of make a bit of configuration for Swagger. And I'm not going to do it the same way. I'm going to be lazy and just copy in some code. So let's have a look at that next lesson. See you next time. Bye.